Perhaps the most recognizable symbol of a pilgrim and the Camino de Santiago is the scallop shell. Join us as we discover the history and the practice of this tradition. First, we need to talk about legends and what that term really means. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines a legend as a story coming down from the past, regarded as historical, although not verifiable. Thus, a legend is a narrative that has been elaborated and embellished around a specific historical event, or a person, or a place over time. Unlike myths, which often explain the origin of the world or feature supernatural gods, legends are typically rooted in some kernel of historical reality. Let's begin with medieval legends surrounding the scallop shell. There are many legends about the scallop shell's association with the Camino de Santiago and St. James, also known as Santiago in Spanish. One particularly famous legend tells the story of a knight who was saved from drowning by St. James himself. As legend has it, a knight was plunged into the ocean after being thrown by his horse and was left stranded in the water. On the verge of being overwhelmed by the turbulent sea, he was rescued by St. James, who enveloped him in scallop shells so that he could float safely back to land. Another narrative called The Miracle of Buzas, and Buzas is a village that's near Vigo. During a wedding feast between the knight Lobesio Rivano and Caia Valeria, the groom participated in an equestrian game called Albufardar, where knights on horseback would throw lances into the air and then catch them before they hit the ground. When Lobesio threw his lance, a sudden shift in the wind blew it into the estuary. He spurred his horse toward the sea to retrieve the thrown spear, but was dragged underwater by the tides and disappeared. As the wedding guests were horrified at this, a luminous boat transporting the body of the Apostle St. James approached. Miraculously, as the vessel passed, Lobesio Riviano emerged safely from the ocean with both himself and his horse entirely covered in scallop shells. The crew of the boat declared that this event was a sign from the divine that pilgrims seeking to honor St. James should wear scallop shells as a mark of devotion. According to another legend regarding the stone vessel carrying the remains of St. James, the stone boat approached the coast of Galicia under calm conditions. Accounts describe thousands of scallop shells emerging from the waters of the coast and then assembling on the shore in a large mosaic pattern resembling a single scallop shell. Here's another fun legend about a group of medieval pilgrims. In the ancient mist-shrouded woods of Galicia, a group of exhausted pilgrims lost their way after inadvertently veering off the traditional path of the Camino. As twilight deepened into night, and anxious uncertainty began to take hold, they suddenly noticed a soft, ethereal luminescence flickering amid the damp ferns. Upon closer inspection, they discovered a glowing scallop shell nestled on the forest floor. Moments later, an entire trail of gleaming shells emerged, casting a gentle beacon through the shadowy trees until it safely guided them back to the main route, enabling them to complete their journey to Santiago de Compostela. Legends are fun, aren't they? So now let's move on to some facts about the scallop shell. The shell's ridges converge at a single point, interpreted as the many routes leading to one destination, Santiago de Compostela. This physical structure serves as a powerful metaphor for the pilgrimage itself. While travelers may begin their journeys from vastly different corners of the world, following diverse paths through varying landscapes, they are all ultimately drawn toward the same place, Santiago. In the northern area of Asturias, the rugged Cantabrian mountain range sweeps across the landscape from the northeast to the southwest. This geological formation mirrors the iconic scallop shell, the enduring symbol of the pilgrimage, whose radiating ridges converge at a single point, much like the many trails across Europe that ultimately lead to the tomb of St. James in Santiago de Compostela. In this region, where the Camino Primitivo begins, the oldest of the pilgrimage routes, which the first was begun under King Alfonso II, the scallop shell, as well as the mountain ranges, serve not only as a profound spiritual metaphor, but as a practical navigational guide, with its orientation marking the way to Santiago de Compostela. During the medieval period, the scallop shell served as a formal indicator of the successful completion of the pilgrimage to Santiago de Compostela. Beyond its symbolic value, the shell functioned as a critical identifier. When displayed on a pilgrim's attire or equipment, it signaled that the individual was a bona fide traveler under ecclesiastical protection. This status often afforded the bearer safe passage and immunity from certain forms of interference during their return journey. In addition to its role as a marker of status, the scallop shell possessed significant practical utilities for travelers. Due to its durability and ergonomic shape, it was frequently utilized as a versatile vessel for the consumption of water and food. The shell's portability allowed pilgrims to easily access natural water sources or receive communal rations along the route. Consequently, the scallop shell became an enduring functional implement associated with the logistical requirements of the Camino de Santiago. Historically, the value of the pilgrim shell was very, very valuable to the pilgrim. In the 11th and 12th centuries, the chapter of the Cathedral of Santiago awarded these native Galician shells exclusively to arriving travelers as a badge of completion and proof of their journey. Historically, the shell was not merely decorative. It possessed multifaceted significance. For the medieval pilgrim, it was a badge of piety and a protective charm, often used practically as a vessel for drinking from the springs and the streams found along the path, as we previously discussed. Culturally, the radiating lines of the shell have come to symbolize the various routes taken by pilgrims from across the globe, all eventually converging at a single point, the tomb of St. James in Santiago de Compostela. Because carrying the shell granted returning pilgrims special legal protection with heavy penalties for attackers, the trade became a highly lucrative business, giving rise to Dos Concheros neighborhood in Santiago, where these shells were sold illegally. By the way, that neighborhood still exists in Santiago, but they don't sell shells, or illegal shells anyway. However, as the practice of obtaining shells without completing the trek grew common, the church eventually substituted the shell with the written Compostela document. Today, the scallop shell remains a universal emblem of the Camino, used globally by tourism boards, displayed prominently on modern waymarkers alongside the yellow arrows to guide hikers, and proudly worn by pilgrims on their backpacks and clothing to signify their shared journey and seek protection. Today, just like in the early days of the pilgrimage, wearing a scallop shell is a wonderful way to show you're part of our global family of pilgrims. This time-honored symbol helps fellow travelers recognize one another and often brings out the best in the local people you meet across Spain and Portugal, who welcome pilgrims with open arms. While the yellow arrows show you the way, the scallop shell is what truly connects you to the spirit of the Camino and your fellow travelers. The iconic scallop shell remains an evocative and powerful emblem for the modern traveler, often affixed to backpacks, incorporated into traditional headwear, or worn as jewelry. The shell transcends its material form to become a sacred talisman. Beyond its role as a physical souvenir of the arduous journey, it serves a persistent reminder of the Camino's storied heritage. Today, the stylized shell continues to function as the official waymark on numerous historic routes, standing as a testament to centuries of cultural and spiritual traditions. In essence, the scallop shell has grown alongside the Camino, blossoming from a single token of faith into a warm, universal symbol that brings us all together. It's more than just a beautiful badge. It's a friendly guide that connects your personal story to a much larger shared journey. By wearing the shell, you're joining a family of seekers past and present, ensuring that the kindness and community of the pilgrimage continues to shine brightly for everyone who follows the path. Time for some music. As always, I love finding a piece to arrange that fits our video themes. Now, I did try to find songs about seashells, but honestly, none of them really worked, especially not for French horns. So instead, I went with something just pure fun. It's String Quartet Number 2 in D major, K155, by a 16-year-old Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. He was fresh out of the strict Vienna and soaking up the lively environment of Milan, and young Mozart poured all of that joyful, youthful freedom right into this piece. It's that same carefree feeling you get when walking a Camino. No rules, just pure enjoyment. I hope you enjoy it. We enjoyed playing it.